one of the most important things, because the subconscious mind really has fundamental programs of life that we acquire from our parents, our family, our community between the last trimester of pregnancy and the first 7 years. So this is why nature created the first 7 years of a child's life to download how to be a member of a family and a society and a culture by strictly observing other people. It's actually a brain function. It's equivalent of hypnosis.
Yes.
Okay. So the fundamental programs of your subconscious are not yours. The conscious mind is yours. That's the creative mind. Well, the issue is that the conscious mind can travel in time. What are you doing next week?
Yeah.
Your mind lets go of the moment, goes to next week. What'd you do last week? Let's go of the moment, and you move into last week. Or I say, I think of something in your head. And the moment you're thinking, you're not paying attention. Well, this is what the function of the subconscious comes in. When you're not paying attention, you go to autopilot. So it's not like you're walking down the street and you have a thought and then stop. Like that. No, you continue walking. Yeah, but you're not paying attention. So it's a subconscious that does all the jobs from walking to driving the car. And so why is this relevant? Because when we're not paying attention and we default to the subconscious, we play the programs that are in the subconscious. And then I go, yeah, but the programs in the subconscious are primarily not yours. They came from other people. And most of them, as psychologists tell us, most of the programs we get are disempowering, self-sabotaging, and limiting. And
Yes.
the relevance about that is this. If I'm going to play those programs, then by definition, I'm going to be shooting myself in the foot. The reason why you play the subconscious programs is because the conscious mind's engaged with thinking, which is 95% of the time or more. And that means 95% of your behavior is invisible to you. And why I really wanted to emphasize this so much is this, because we believe we're victims. Oh, I really wanted to be successful. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to have a great relationship, and it's not working out.
Yeah.
And then you say, well, that was my intention, and it's not working, so therefore the world's against me. And then we go into victims like, God, I really wanted it and it didn't happen. And I just wanted people to wake up, because it basically is this. It's not the world against you at all. The world will give you everything. The issue is you're not operating from your conscious mind, except 5% at the most. And so your life is really a reflection of your subconscious programming.
Yes.
Now you say to me, well, I got programmed from the last trimester of pregnancy, the first 7 years, so I was being programmed when I was 1 and 2 and 3, and I go, absolutely. And you say, but what were the programs? I wasn't there. I have no idea what the hell the programs are. And I go, here's the neat part. 95% of your life is coming from the subconscious. So all you have to do is look at your life and just look at it and say, for what? I say, what comes to you that you want and it comes to you easily, you have programs to allow that to happen. But what you struggle with, what you work hard on, what you have to put a lot of effort into, why are you working so hard? And the answer is simple. Because you have an invisible program that is sabotaging you from that point. So now all of a sudden you say, well, what do I need to change? I say, well, look at your life.
Yes.
And tell me what you're having trouble with.
Yeah.
Because that's the direct expression of a program that's not supporting you. There's always been a belief that the conscious and the subconscious minds are one and the same. So if I educate my conscious mind, then my subconscious mind should automatically know what the heck I just did.
Yeah.
Right? So then I say, well, yeah, guess what? How many self-help books did you read? And I go, oh, I read all these self-help books. I say, now that you read them, did your life change? And the answer is, no, not really. But I'm really smart, because if you ask me any questions about the self-help book, I can answer it. I say, well, what's the issue? And the issue is this. The conscious mind is creative. So yeah, I could read the book. I could watch this video with you in it. I could even just go, aha, and the conscious mind could accept that and learn it. But the subconscious mind does not learn that way. And that has been the problem, because we educate the conscious minds, get really smart, and our life stays exactly the same as it is. And the issue is why? Because it doesn't translate from the conscious to the subconscious, because the subconscious learns in, well, 3 to 4 fundamental ways. Number one, the first way it learned 7 years was hypnosis, because the brain was operating at a low vibrational frequency and just downloading what it saw. After you're 7, how do you learn? Habituation. How'd you learn the ABCs or the times table? You had to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, and finally you got it, and then you know how to do it. You want to drive a car? You have to practice and practice, and then you learn how to do it. So if you want to change the subconscious mind, hypnosis is number 1, that works. Number 2, repetition, habituation. Yes. Create a habit. And at first it seems like a struggle because it's new to the subconscious mind, but hey, you didn't learn ABCD the first time you said it, you know, you had to do it again and again. But after you do it for a repetition period, it will be so natural that if you're not doing it, your subconscious mind go, hey, what's happening? We're not doing it.
Yeah.
So that's really good. We overcome that. A third way, which is very, some people get it and it's very powerful, but I wouldn't recommend it, is tremendous emotional shock. Boom! Something happens in your life and it's so dramatic that after that moment, you're not going to be the same person. The subconscious got it right there, okay?
Yeah.
And the newer one and the better one is a whole new field of belief change modalities, which are also associated with what's called energy psychology.
Yes.
And these are wonderful because basically it's a form of super learning. And what's neat about it, the conventional things like hypnosis or habituation, there's a time element that takes a long time.
Yeah.
But these new belief change modalities, like a super learning experience, you can change a belief you've had your whole life, 50 years, and change it in 10 minutes. Yeah. And so this is really, it's a new type of psychology that's coming in, but it's really necessary because, as they say, necessity is the mother of invention.
Yep.
We're running into a world that has a lot of necessity to change very, very quickly. So we're really happy to see that there are ways of changing without going through all that anxiety and stress, and we can do it really quickly. My favorite one is the one that I use because I'm the most familiar with it, but there's many of them in my books. I give a whole list, but the one I use is called Psych-K, like the abbreviation of psychology.
Yeah.
It actually represents psychological kinesiology.
Yeah.
And it's an exercise where you get your right and your left brain hemispheres to work in harmony, which they don't do on a normal day-by-day basis. And when you get them to work in harmony, that's called brain synchronization, a window sort of opens up and you can drop in a new belief in 5 minutes. You know, it's really fun because you say, well, what if you can release these programs? And that's the story of the Matrix, where I say, well, I take the red pill, I get out of the program. And then I say, yeah, but in real life, every time we've taken that red pill, I say, what's the red pill in real life? And the answer is falling in love. Falling in love with the person, or falling in love with your creativity, or whatever it is, falling in love. Because when you fall in love, what you're doing is so captivating and so engrossing and so desirable, you don't let your conscious mind wander. So the first time in your life, your conscious mind's staying present. And I said, well, why is that important? Conscious mind, wishes, desires, and aspirations. If you're operating from that mind, you manifest your wishes and desires. So my conclusion for all of this blah, blah, blah that I'm giving you is simply this. What if you go into the subconscious mind and change the programs in the subconscious mind so they reflect the wishes and desires of your conscious mind? What would that mean? And I tell you what it means. You'll live in a honeymoon for every day of your life on this planet for a simple reason.
Yeah.
If my conscious mind with wishes and desires begins to wander and I default into the subconscious and is playing my wishes and desires, I never left the honeymoon. Most people's stresses are not real immediate emergency stresses at all. They're beliefs of a fear that they won't have something, they won't have a job, they won't have food, they won't have a friend. And it's not that they don't have them right now. They're thinking about, oh, if that happens. And that's where the stress comes from. And that's why 90% of the people are in fear, because they recognize that their future is uncertain. But rather than seeing it in a positive way, they have this image of a negative thing.
Work it all out.
And it's really interesting because, remember, when you fall in love and you get out of the programming, you create heaven on earth. Well, if it wasn't for the programming, everybody would have heaven on earth.
Yes.
So if we can change the programming, then heaven on earth is available. We currently see the world as a physical, mechanical machine. Everything is chemistry and atoms and stuff like that. And it turns out the new understanding, really, which is quantum physics, says the focus shouldn't be on the material things. The focus is on the invisible energy things, which include thought and belief, because it turns out it's the invisible energy that controls the physical world. And this is what quantum physics talk about. They talk about what they call the field. And I say, well, what's the field? Well, they say invisible moving energy that influences the physical world. And I go, well, that definition is the same definition for spirit, invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. So it's interesting that today's modern science is reconnecting us with the ancient history of spirituality, which really says that we are energy beings inhabiting a physical body. Well, if we understand that, we start honoring the energy part, the invisible stuff that we've let go out of the equation, because all we look at is, give me the physical material, give me money, cash, give me things. And it turns out it turns out that it's the energy is more powerful, the invisible stuff is more powerful than the physical stuff. So turning our beliefs around and recognizing our thoughts are powerful elements. Then all of a sudden it says, let's start exercising our thoughts rather than exercising our wallet, let's say, and controlling the world. And this gives an opportunity for all of us, every one of us, because we all have thoughts and we all have this energy, and since thoughts create the science, and this is quantum physics. They talk about that it's consciousness that creates the world. And so we all have to start recognizing we all are conscious, and all collectively our consciousness can change the world. So when you have a lot of people out there saying, oh my God, the world's out of control, I say, yeah, but all you need is a lot of people who know that to say, let's consciously create the different world, and then we're not held victim of the world that we're in, because we can manifest the world that we want. And that's why I get so excited by all the viewers out there, because each viewer out there represents another consciousness that, with all the other consciousness, can change the world. And this is what the evolution is all about. What we're facing is an evolution, not a physical evolution. It's how we relate to each other with our consciousness. So we're all coming together in one giant consciousness called humanity. And this is the evolution we're facing.
Yes, you were explaining in your lecture yesterday that we were going from a church-based, very much model, to then, now science is giving us the truth.
Science has been doing that for 150 years. So we left the church-based model of a spiritual world, entered into the science-based model of a physical world. We played both of those worlds now. And what's the evolution? The evolution says both of those worlds collectively make the world. So it's not just spiritual, it's not just material. You have to bring both of them together. And so now that we travel through the spiritual part of the world with the church running the world, and then the material with the science running the world, we're coming to a closure that says, to understand the world, you have to invoke both the spirit and the matter. And that's why consciousness, when I talk about spirit, is that really our consciousness, our energy, our thoughts. It's not physical, it's energy. And yet science now tells us those thoughts are shaping the physical world. So we can change the world we live in by just changing our thoughts, but that means changing the programming.
Which is in the subconscious. You're saying that 95% of things that happen in our life are coming from the subconscious.
Yeah, and that's the part that people have to wake up to, because a lot of people think, oh look, my desire is to be successful, have a great relationship, have a great job, I want all these things, and now I go out in the world and it's like, I'm not getting there, I'm not making it. It's like, and they get frustrated and they say, well, it's not me, because my intention is to be successful, and I'm not being successful, so it must be the world is against me. And then all of a sudden I'm a victim of, like, well, this is not the world I wanted. And it turns out, no, it's not the world your conscious mind wanted, but it's the world your subconscious mind has been programmed to create. And the word subconscious by definition means below consciousness. So you are creating without being conscious that you are creating this. And this becomes a problem, because it turns out it's not the outside world that's keeping us from succeeding. It's the invisible inside world that we've been programmed with through culture and family to have lost our power. And that's the biggest thing about this propagation of the belief system. This is not new, you know. It's very interesting. The Jesuits, 500 years, the Jesuits of the church, they would boast. They would say, give me a child until it's 6 or 7, and it will belong to the church for the rest of its life. What they knew is what we're talking about in the new biology. The first 6 years of your life is programming. Programming from other people, not your programming, parents, family, community. You as a child are in a hypnotic state for 6 years. Your brain is functioning in a hypnotic state, meaning the first 6 years is download, download, download. And the problem with the download is we're not conscious during that part, which means whatever was downloaded, you didn't filter it with your belief system. You didn't have a belief system. Whatever you heard, saw, or experienced in the first 6 years is a recording, just like this is a tape recording, boom, down in your subconscious mind. And then we find that 95% of our life is actually from the subconscious mind, with only 5% from the conscious. And you say, what's the difference? Conscious mind is you, your spirit, who you are, your wishes, your desires, what you want out of life. Conscious mind. I say, well, you want to be successful, great. You want a great job, great. That's all conscious. I say, but you're only using that mind 5% of the time. You're living your life 95% of the time with the programs that you got from other people. So the truth is, you are living other people's lives invisibly, because it's called subconscious, meaning you don't see it. And so when you're creating these behaviors, you yourself don't even know you're doing it. And if your behaviors are not supporting you, then you sabotage yourself without even you knowing you're doing it. And that's where the victim comes in. It's like, oh my God, I want to be successful and I'm not. The world's against me, I'm a victim. It turns out, no, you were programmed not to succeed, and you're engaging the program without you seeing it. So we were sabotaging ourselves without ourselves knowing it. That's why the new biology, I want people to wake up. That's the wonderful thing, because those people out there that have fallen in love, and you know, if you could go back in your mind just for, you know, I want you to go back to that point where you fell in love. I call it the honeymoon period, where you did this. And I asked you a couple of questions. I say, when you were back in that love state, head over heels in love, were you healthy? And it turns out almost everybody says, yes, I was, you know, exorbitantly healthy. Everything was great. I said, did you have energy? Oh, we had tremendous energy to be active day and night in this love period, in the honeymoon. I go, yeah. And then when I say, how about, was life so much fun that you couldn't wait for the next day to have more of this experience? And the answer was yes, because it was so great. And I go, well, think about it. You created health, you created energy, you created a world that was so beautiful for you when you were in love that you couldn't wait for the next day to have more of this world. And what it turns out is, well, how did our world, which could have been a crazy world before you met this person, then you meet this person, and then the next thing you're in this great honeymoon experience, okay? And then your world today is heaven on earth. Yesterday was hell. Today's heaven on earth because you fell in love. And then what I want people to know is, that was not an accident. That wasn't just a, wow, that just happened. It's like, you created the love experience, and in the process of creating the love experience, you created health for yourself, energy, and you created the world that was so beautiful for you that it was heaven on earth. And why is this important for me to let you know? And basically it said, this was not an accident. This was a creation. And if you understood how you did it, and now we know why, how it happened, and that is, remember, our conventional understanding is we run our lives 95% of the time from our subconscious programming. When you are falling in love, you actually don't go into the subconscious program, because the conscious mind is so excited about being here, it doesn't leave, and that's why the problem most of the time is our mind's thinking. And when the conscious mind's thinking, by definition, it's not paying attention, and that's when the subconscious programs run. When you're in love, the conscious mind doesn't want to go anywhere. It wants to be right here and take in all that love. So this is one time in your life where you have a tendency to stay in the conscious mind. I said, well, what happens when you stay in the conscious mind? The answer was, you created heaven, because you were creating from your wishes and desires. But the moment life gets busy again and your conscious mind starts to travel, then you go to the default, and the default is a subconscious program. But those programs came from your parents, your family, and community, so they're not even your beliefs. So you start living other people's lives. So for me, what does it all mean? And as you express, is like, when we're in love, we create heaven on earth. What if we could learn to stay in our conscious mind, which is called Buddhist mindfulness? It's a practice. It means that you can then have a honeymoon every day for the rest of your life on this planet. Because it was only when we get out of our conscious mind do we return back to the hell on earth again. And that's because we were actually creating that without ourselves even knowing it. When we have a group of people and we do like kinesiology muscle testing, one of the questions that I love to ask, the first question in muscle testing is, you know, get ready to do a muscle test, hold out your arm, and then make a statement, I love myself. The most surprising thing is, I think up to 80% of the audience will not test positive for that belief. And that's because during our childhood development, we were so criticized by our parents and our family, and criticized to do better. Which meant at some point is, well, you know, why are we being criticized? Well, our parents want us to do better, but if our subconscious mind's just recording the criticism and our conscious mind's not there, then our belief of who we are the critical things like, oh, you're not smart enough, you're not lovable enough, you're not, you can't do sports, you don't deserve things. These are what parents say. When we put that down in our subconscious, that becomes our belief system, our subconscious, and since we run our lives 95% of the time from that, that's why when you check, do I love myself, and the answer comes out, well, what kind of childhood language did you hear from your parents? And the issue is that's why 80% of the people cannot test well for loving themselves, because their subconscious never got the program from the parents. Oh, you're the most wonderful, loving child, and you can do anything, and we support you in everything and all that. If you didn't get that, then you got criticism. And if that criticism went in the subconscious mind, then that was recorded and you become the criticism. All of us, we should test that as just, do I love myself? And why is this an issue? If you can't love yourself, then how are you going to find somebody to love you? Because the first thing your psychology would say was, I can't love myself, and this person says they love me. Why would they love me? And I don't even love myself, so they obviously are not a good judge of love, because if they're loving me and I don't love me, then we don't agree on that. And people sabotage themselves because of these subconscious beliefs. So to fall in love, the first thing is you got to love yourself.